Welcome to another installment in our Route 66 oral history project, highlighting the African American experiences along Route 66, especially centered around Greene County, Missouri, where Springfield is located. My name is Tom Peters. I'm the Dean of Library Services at Missouri State University. Today's date is January 13th, 2015, and our special guest today is Joe Jefferson, longtime resident of Springfield, Missouri, and he has a lot of memories of life and travel along Route 66 back in the time when Route 66 was the premier route from Chicago to Santa Monica, California. Joe, welcome.
Thank you.
I do want to acknowledge that we did an oral history interview last month on the same topic, but you contacted me and said you had some more information about your experiences. Yeah. So last month we were talking about, you worked quite a number of years at the Kentwood Arms Hotel, which was right on Route 66. It was a John T. Woodruff development, and you started off in the kitchen and then worked your way up to, you were actually running, as I recall, the snack bar and the concessions near the pool.
Yeah, between the two pools. They had two pools. Because in the hotel, first they built, what do you call them, motels, a U-shape in the back of the hotel. Mm-hmm. And then there's opposite from there, east of the hotel out front, what's set there now is John Q. place. I remember real well. And they had a pool there, and so the snack bar was between the two pools.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said you had some more memories and information to share with viewers?
Oh, yes. I was thinking back about what it was out Route 66. You was asking about Route 66.
Yeah.
And it was where all the function was. Then where you help things, events, stuff like that, dances and stuff like it, was the Ritz Club.
Oh yeah, west of Springfield.
Mm-hmm. It was on straight out College Street.
Yeah. So you go to the Ritz Club?
Yeah, I went there when I was old enough to go to dances, and that's where they have dances at.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and it was the Ritz Club.
Yeah.
What it was. Yeah.
Any vivid memories of an evening at the Ritz Club?
Yeah, it was good dances there. There's a lot of dances they held there with different, musicians, and that's what they used to do.
Uh-huh.
Like now, people in music now, the entertainers now, they comes to Juanita K and stuff like that. But they used to have those come. It was less expensive then, and they would bring other bands too when some of the organization was having parties and stuff like that. That was the club they rented.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I can remember that so well.
Were you a good dancer?
Well, I thought I was. I thought I was. I loved it. I love music, and I just would rather dance than eat, really.
Yeah.
So.
Now, was everyone welcome at the Ritz Club?
Yeah, but when the organization rented it, then if they rented it for a party, and then they bared the expenses and all that kind of different clubs. That's what the black population, they had different clubs,
uh-huh.
names and stuff like that, and then the annual parties and stuff, and that's what they helped them at. And then everybody, everybody in the city, it was open to anybody to rent.
Yeah.
And that's what they done.
Who owned it, do you remember?
I don't know. I didn't go back up. And then I had some dealing with them too. But that's gone by, and when I came back home, I was thinking of that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about our College Street, what was out there, because he was asking that.
Now, was it on the north side of?
No, it goes from downtown, from Square. You go right through the Square,
right.
And that was College.
Right.
And then it turned into Route 66, which is traffic way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was the Ritz Club on the north side of the road or the south side of the road?
It was on the south side.
South side?
South side of the road.
Okay. How big was it? Do you remember how many people could fit in there?
God, I might say it held a lot of people. It could be very easy to hold 200 to 300 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it used just for events, or was it also?
It's events. That's what it was. It was clubs. Okay. It was different clubs that people did, that everybody did, that the whole city would do. Because it used to be half a hill, you know, and that was at the bottom battlefield in Long Pine.
Mm-hmm.
That was half a hill.
Half hill.
Half a hill.
Half a hill.
Yeah.
Half a hill.
Now people rented that too.
Okay.
And,
so those were the two big event spaces in
yeah,
town?
that was you know what people helped, because it wasn't in place. Only the rich, you know, because the rich went to Kentwood Arms, which was the Crystal Room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all older people remember that. And
did you work any nights at the Crystal Room?
Oh yes, I worked those parties like everything. Yeah, I was good at that too. Yeah, I was really good at that because I developed like a workout, my muscles and stuff, carrying all those heavy trays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was...
It's hard work and long hours too.
Long hours, hard on your feet, but really I was stable with it. That tray was number one thing that you knew you could bump me and that tray would never move. It was something else. And I made it like that. That was it because I clowned a lot, because when we had big banquet parties and stuff like that, then we bust the food and stuff in. From outside, they did it it was upstairs. So the waitress was standing. I would bust those. If it was first course was soup, you know, in the tray of soup, and I used to spin that tray around over across the table like that, and they'd pick it up off my hand. I did, and people would duck, and I wouldn't even try to quite a smile.
You were in control.
Yeah, because I just did that. And I really was. You know, I could pat myself on the back for that, but I loved it though.
Yeah,
I loved doing that.
Back to the Ritz for a minute. So, if you were just traveling down Route 66, did they have like a diner or anything in there where you could just stop and get a bite to eat?
No,
or?
it was just a club.
It was really for events.
It was a club for events. They had the bar there. You know, people could bring their own liquor and run the bar themselves. And on down there further, I don't know just what blocks, nothing like that. It was a black guy. It was a Be-Bop Brown. He had a club out there.
Okay. Remember what the name of it was?
Be-Bop Brown.
Be-Bop Brown's place.
Yeah. Guess what he was? He had, because he was a saxophone player. And then they had a band, and that's what people went. You know, Saturday night, maybe, I don't know. I didn't do much of middle week stuff, but that's where they went that's where they went to dance at, really. Mm-hmm. That was before.
That was a smaller place, more kind of like a bar
it was
restaurant.
big. It was big. It was a pretty good sized place. That's where blacks went. Because, you know, sometimes white went there too. Like I told you,
right?
That white could.
Yeah.
You know, because we never did do that. You know, we never did bar white out. You can't come in here.
Yeah.
we didn't do that. And then, you know.
But the clientele tended to be black.
Yeah, it was
at Be-Bop Brown's.
Yeah, it was his club. That's what he did.
Friday night, Saturday night kind of deal, or
yeah, Wednesday night I think, and especially on the weekend.
Did you serve food too?
No, they just went there to dance and drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went there to dance and drink.
Did you ever? So I guess my question is, especially for the place like Be-Bop Brown, would you? Would any people that weren't locals come and stop in? And, you know, if they were just traveling along Route 66 and they'd see a jumping joint, would they stop and, you know?
Well, occasionally, yeah. Then, you know, people was curious about what was going on. Yeah, they'd stop.
Yeah.
And because at the time when I was growing up, most of black people was in one huddle and one huddle. It seemed like everybody knew everybody, knew each other, and then that's just the way it was at that time until people start branching out and stuff, and then people start coming in. A lot of people start moving in.
Were there businesses along Route 66 that you knew you weren't welcome at?
Well, you knew every place you wasn't welcome at. You knew every place.
You just sort of knew.
People knew that, especially black people knew where they wasn't welcome.
Yeah.
Because it was that way. It was segregated.
Yeah.
They knew that. So it wasn't a problem.
Now, the Shrine Mosque was a big venue back in the day.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because people rented
A couple of blocks from the Kentwood Arms.
Mm-hmm. People rented that for bigger events.
Uh-huh.
You know, like it would hold more people.
Yeah.
Because the last time that I went there, I tell you, some reason or another that I was focused on the country and western Brett Paisley.
Mm-hmm.
Back when he made those songs and stuff like that, it related sometime in my life. I go back, so I did go to see him
At the Shrine Mosque.
Yeah. But that was just it wasn't segregated then. It was like, you know.
It held a couple of thousand people, doesn't it?
Oh no, yeah, it did.
So you get like national acts coming into the Shrine
Mm-hmm.
Mosque.
Mm-hmm. That's where they held those big events at.
Yeah.
At Shrine Mosque before it was Performing Arts Center.
Would that affect business at the Kentwood Arms, or would you know when the
No.
Shrine Mosque was, when an event was letting out and people would come over?
No, people stayed there. Some of the events there that people came in entertainment stayed at Kentwood Arms. Because I told you this way. I met Elvis at too there. Yeah. No, it didn't. Nothing affected Kentwood Arms because it was the place.
Yeah, high class place.
It was.
It was the place to stay.
Christian room, then there was that a tie.
Yeah.
Because you didn't.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Was it one of those restaurants where if you came in and you didn't have a jacket,
they
would give you a jacket? They would have an owner jacket? Or
no.
Oh, okay.
No, people knew that.
Yeah.
People knew that. That's just as classy a place. It was classy because all rich people went there.
Was Kentwood integrated back when you were working there? In terms of people could stay there?
No, they couldn't stay there.
Yeah.
When I started there, no.
Yeah.
It was up in the 40s, up in some parts of the 50s. Yeah, before that happened.
Now, the Jewel Theater was also downtown then.
Yeah, it was downtown.
And they had the Ozark Jubilee live broadcast.
It was that was a theater down on McDaniel and Jefferson.
Yep.
See,
Exactly, McDaniel and Jefferson.
Yeah, that's where...
it's just a park there now, Jubilee Park they call it.
It's set on the north side of McDaniel.
Yeah.
And it was Jubilee Theater because all of the... Yeah, they were there. Like Red Foley and Thomas Soulsby, and I can name a whole bunch of them.
Did you ever take in that show?
No, that was still segregated.
It was still segregated.
But I went in because I had... some friends of mine worked there, and so I went in there and seen how they operate.
When they were actually broadcasting, did you see some? Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like in there during a broadcast? Was everybody quiet or?
No, it was just like show you see now where country and west, like you see on NBC or somewhere on national television, something like when there was events was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was, entertainment to people.
Mm-hmm.
And people go there and hear them and all kinds of, because like I told you, them old people back at the time, Soulsby, that was his name, and all that, and all of them, and Red Foley and all of them.
Did you ever meet Red?
Yeah,
he lives in town.
Red stayed at the...
Really?
He stayed at Kentwood Arms.
Really?
Yeah. He stayed there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where people stayed.
Yeah.
Most people, because that was Colonial Hotel down there, but people was... Because, like I told you, Kentwood Arms was master host, and it was the place.
Now, I've heard that back in the 40s and 50s, there were more black-owned businesses in Springfield, maybe than there are today. Do you remember any of those businesses?
Yes, I do. I remember. I've seen them on. I seen PBS. A friend of mine, they was asking them, and I said they didn't even answer half of the businesses was here.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Were there some on the square, or?
No, it was. I go to naming some of them. I go to name them. The name it was two funeral home was here, and then it was I knew of two doctors, and I knew a dentist and a medic doctor. I remember them, and that was it's Grimm's. Because you said you didn't live in
right.
Yeah.
Alberta's was another.
Yeah, Alberta was over in Everybody was over across the street in front of Pitts Chapel Church on Benton.
Mm-hmm.
Over there, it was like a hotel, a
Mm-hmm.
big old house, but it had,
Mm-hmm.
that was yeah. I mean, that but back behind that was more restaurant too. Different people had restaurants.
Mainly black-owned restaurants? Or?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the names of those restaurants? Or?
I just remember name people that own them, but I don't remember the name of them.
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah. But I knew, when you said Alberta's, I remember when she had that over there, and you definitely remember Grimm's because it was most active. He was busy.
Mm-hmm.
His barbecue, yeah, it was out of the world.
Yeah.
That's
Good.
That's why, and at that time too, see, that's what white people went,
Mm-hmm.
and he took care of them too, because
Yeah.
that was his business.
Not so much to Alberta's though. Was that more of a black clientele?
Yeah, it was a black clientele. That
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what Grimm sat at?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there on the traffic way in where that stakeout.
What I've heard is that Stakeout is actually the second Graham's barbecue.
It just yeah, but
They
that's
built
what
it.
Graham's was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a little motel back there too.
Yeah, he had about 6
Yeah.
units or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I can remember all that. You done done your business, hadn't you?
I'm learning a lot.
You've been really searching, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was out there with you before. I said, I told him everything about myself, and I said, I wasn't answering his question. I need to listen to him. What he's asking.
Did you ever eat at Alberta's? Did you remember? Did they have a pretty good reputation for food? Was it good food? People
Yeah,
thought?
it was good food.
Yeah.
You know what? That was a business that was. I can remember that her name was Susie Cradle. She had a hamburger place. People done things that you can't do now. Ever since in the neighborhood, she had the thing in her house. I remember her old greasy hamburgers. Oh man, great big old thick hamburger.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was
Right out of her house.
Yeah, it's on Tampa, right on Tampa and Jones Alley. Yeah, because there was a castle there too. It was all I know was a castle. It was a stone castle.
Castle.
It was like where people rent apartments.
Yeah.
They lived in there. Yeah.
I also read somewhere that going west from town on 66, so you had the Ritz, you had Be-Bop Browns.
Mm-hmm.
If you went farther west, today it'd be beyond where you go up to the airport and beyond 44. Alberta had some kind of a little hotel or bed and breakfast. She had a farm out there that she'd grow vegetables.
Yeah,
But if she had overflow from her place downtown, she'd send them out to the farm. You ever hear anything about that? Kind of Alberta's farm, or
she could have, but I wasn't ever there. I wasn't ever there.
Okay.
A lot of the time was my young age too. When
Yeah.
she was in business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some places I didn't go. Only thing I remember that going that way when I went to Tulsa.
Yeah.
That's the way you went going to Joplin.
Right.
Yeah.
You go down 66.
Yeah.
You said you rode the bus sometimes. And,
Yeah, that's what it was. A bus.
Yeah.
That's what it was. A
Greyhound bus. Or,
Yeah, Greyhound bus, and actually going over. I went that way when you had to go around these long ways before they put the turnpike in,
Mm-hmm.
and just like before they built 44
Mm-hmm.
going to St. Louis.
Yeah.
It's going that way.
Now, when you rode the bus back in the day, could you sit anywhere?
No.
Had to sit in the back?
It was that way. Yeah.
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 Did you resent it?
Like I told you, I knew what the thing was, and I didn't resent it. I just
That's the way it was.
the way it was, and that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And then I didn't try to patronize after something that I wasn't welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't ever do that.
But you had to ride the bus back and forth from
Yeah.
Tulsa to Springfield.
Yeah, I don't think, really, actually. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't remember sitting in the back. I don't remember that.
Mm.
But I do remember we didn't sit in the back. I do remember back when my age time was going to service.
Going to service?
Armed service, yeah.
Yeah. You see a lot of soldiers, right? In the
No,
bus?
that's when they draft you.
Oh.
And we went to Kansas City for physicals.
You got drafted?
Yeah.
Yeah. What year was that, do you remember?
It's in the mid-50s.
Okay.
It's in the mid-50s because that's when I didn't go, though. I didn't go because I had one kid. And
Oh, so you got a, whatever they call
that
that.
one kid wasn't taken
Deferment.
with 2 kids in service.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do remember that where I had to stay.
Yeah.
It's in some old rooming house.
In Kansas City?
Mm-hmm.
Remember where it was?
No, I don't remember where it was. I didn't stay there either.
Yeah.
My father-in-law worked there, so I went there. I went over and to their place, stayed, and then just got a cab back to where we were supposed to be at.
Yeah.
No, I didn't stay in there. That was the most ridiculous place. It was. This old rooming house with beds.
Back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. It was. It was just stupid things, you know. It just,
Yeah.
and I just kept saying, I'm going to better myself,
Mhm.
you know, and which I did, which, you know, I really am proud of what I accomplished.
Mhm.
Because it was mean that I didn't have no support. Like you're supposed to get an education. It was just, college was just out. But, you know, after that, I did take a few classes. So that was after my kids was.
Yeah.
But I said I'd never go to school no more. It was hard.
Mhm.
It really was. It was hard. That was in the 80s.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Last time we met, we talked a little bit about the Colonial Hotel, and you told me, I think, as I recall, that by the time you were working at the Kentwoods, it had eclipsed the Colonial. It eclipsed the Colonial as a.
It was still there.
Yeah, but is it the premier place to stay? The Colonial
People stayed there, but it was a different clientele there.
Yeah. How so?
Well, I try to make you understand it, but rich people, they didn't deal with low-class people, white people.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like that's what I explained to a guy where I was working at. The things he didn't know, you know, when I was marching, when they marched for Martin Luther King, because it was cold, because I don't like cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him I wasn't marching. And he kept on after it, and then I just stopped him right there. I said, what are you talking about? I said, you think I should be out there because Martin Luther King was black? I said, let me tell you something, buddy. I said, Martin Luther King didn't do a bit more for me than he did for you. Because my money didn't mean nothing in that time, and yours didn't either. Mm-hmm. But now you got money, you can do anything you want to do. Mm-hmm. You can buy anything you want to buy. And I said, but where I worked at, I said, you couldn't go there. Mm-hmm. I said, because they'll throw you out, and if I was standing outside when they was throwing you out, I looked up and I didn't have good eyesight, I thought you was black coming out of it. I told him, I said, since Martin Luther King days, it caused my kids, and me too, you know, because I got along with people. My kids and your kids right today getting along with each other. Right today.
Yeah. But back then, if I'm understanding correctly, people would stay at the Kentwood Arms. It wasn't so much they just didn't want, they wanted to be with if you didn't have a certain income level.
Well, yeah, income level too. You didn't have to have, it
or a certain amount
but you could know business people. Because most people come there was traveling, had come district people for different companies.
Right.
They come there and stay. They come there sometime every 6 weeks or every month or something like that. And then people coming through.
Yeah.
Come through there. But we did have people come through there was because a Berry tour bus. Mm-hmm. And we didn't ever know when they was coming. But they would come in. And that's where I came in at.
It was a tour bus.
Yeah.
What kind of tour?
Bus. It was Berry. That was the name of the company.
Berry, B-E-R-R-Y.
Yeah.
And what, they were just touring the Ozarks, or
They was touring everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, just like you rent buses and people. I guess people go places. It's just probably like what's his name? I know his name was. I do mine over on Sunshine and National. I know his name. He's a country western guy, bus. He had a tour bus right there on the corner.
Mm.
Oh my goodness, I know his name. He know my name. I know him as well as I know him.
So it's like early. It could be like retirees that would be coming on this bus, or
yeah, just like what it was. Just sort of like what, yeah.
And they'd be traveling down 66.
Yeah, people traveling different places,
Mm-hmm.
and we never knew what time bus. Sometimes be two buses drive back. You know what it takes you.
This is like in the 50s, right? So this is before the Branson entertainment explosion.
But Branson Entertainment was still down there. The bar numbers and stuff like that, they were still there.
Yeah.
It was always Branson, but there's never nothing that I liked.
Yeah.
Because I really wasn't a country western person, but that's what it all was.
Yeah. But they'd come to the hotel, and then when they came, you wouldn't know when they were coming, but when they came, what happened?
Well, they had to check them in. You know, they had to check them in, and the bellman had to, carry their bags and stuff like that and get this stuff. And that's where I come in a lot of time to help if I was on duty somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I go help those bellmen and stuff like that.
Did they have, let's imagine I'm a wealthy person back in the 40s and 50s, and I'm going to stay at the Kentwood Arms, and I pull up in a car. What kind of car would I be driving back in the 40s or 50s? A Packard?
Yeah, some of them. Some of them. It'd be a nice car.
Would somebody drive my car to park it, or would I just get out?
No, you park it. You park it. Yeah.
So you didn't have like a valet service?
No.
Yeah.
One thing, they just give you good service. And they didn't do people like that. People coming in, driving in and get them. But most time, people search for places to stay when they come places. Mm-hmm. And but Kentwood wasn't. It really at that time wasn't cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't cheap, but you had the money. If you was white, you could do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
you could get a. But don't let them be suspicious of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had a night watchman there too.
Oh yeah, who kept watched out for.
Yeah.
You mentioned the physician that was there with a woman other than his wife.
Yeah. Yeah. But that didn't. Everything was kept low. Like you didn't have scandals.
Yeah.
You just didn't have scandals.
The police never drove up.
No, you didn't have scandals because if they recognized that, they'd handle it differently. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't a smear of that hotel. And that's why I told you when cab drivers bring somebody there, they would have to check in at the front desk. They couldn't drive back to a motel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was the way it was. It really wasn't a scandal there. That place had a good name.
Mm-hmm. So, did you have any? Did you know anybody else who worked at the hotel or worked at other hotels in that area or other businesses along Route 66?
Yeah.
Did you know anybody who worked at the Colonial or?
Yeah, at that time. But I don't know anybody now. They dead and gone.
Yeah.
At that time, yeah.
The Rail Haven was in business back then. That was a different kind of hotel.
Yeah.
Motel.
That was a motel. Yeah.
Were you aware of the Rail Haven back?
Yeah, I remember that.
What'd you think of the Rail Haven? Because it was a different type of establishment.
It's right down, Rail Haven down the corner of St. Louis and
Glenstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah.
Was it just a different kind of clientele in terms of?
They had a restaurant there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a restaurant there, but just a motel, and it was nice. It was a nice place. Yeah, because when they integrated, because I remember going there. It was a nice place to eat and stuff. It was open to the public. Yeah.
I remember back when I was a kid, I was working in a restaurant kind of convention center in Fort Dodge, Iowa, but I was a busboy.
I did that too.
And one of the perks was you got a free meal.
We did too.
Yeah. So where'd you eat your meals when you were at the Kentwood?
We had a what you call it? In the back, employee
lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? We got our meals free, but they was added on to. They didn't charge us for it, but it was added on to the check. That was for income purpose.
When you got your statement, it was a write-off. It was
a write-off. Yeah. It was a write-off.
I remember we also couldn't eat everything.
We couldn't either.
We couldn't eat the ham.
We couldn't eat the steaks.
Couldn't eat the steaks or the ham. Or, I think it was chicken and fish was the only meat we could eat.
Yeah. No, we had, and then we did get some stuff was left over from a party they had and stuff like that. You know, it was some stuff left over.
Yeah.
We could do that, but we just couldn't go in and order steaks because they had what we was going to eat when we go and get our plates and stuff. Yeah. So it was, I guess, I was like it was fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun.
You enjoyed it.
It was a fun place to work because that job, and I can tell you, that job I never worried about. I just never worried about getting in trouble, getting canned.
Mm-hmm.
For not done my work.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you were very conscientious as an employee.
I was out to please that man above me. Mm-hmm. I worked my butt off too, and he knew I'd done my job. He didn't go behind me for nothing. Mm-hmm. They had an assistant manager there too. I never forget him. I told you he became rich too. Because he told me, he said, JJ, he said, a man never get rich working for someone else. Just one person get rich. But man, I knew that. But I didn't know what the heck he was talking about a lot. Because I was young. Just about 16 years old.
Yeah.
But it was. I just enjoyed that place like, I don't know why. Because I guess it was the first job that I had.
And when did you start working there, roughly?
Sometime in the 40s, I think.
In the 40s.
Yeah, it lasted the 40s.
And then you worked through the mid to late 50s?
Yeah, I worked there 2 or 3 different times.
Off and on?
Yeah. Every time I'd go somewhere and come back, because I would go back down Wright County. When I go back out, then when I come back, I just call the man up. Mm-hmm. You tell me what day to come on in. He hired me every time. And when I gave him... when I was leaving, when I went in car business, I told you when I went selling cars, I gave him, I turned in, I was, leaving. And then 2 weeks, I gave him 2 weeks notice. And he didn't even replace me then. And some of the guys back in the kitchen told him that he ain't going nowhere. I told him, I said, I'm going to give you 1 more week. And that's it. And I said, I'm gone. And I said, you better get 2 or 3 people to replace me. And I said, I just did that. I did that. I know that, I don't know, but that was a challenge to me going into selling cars. I didn't know about selling cars. That was the hardest time of my life.
Mm-hmm. So you went right from working from at the Kentwood Arms to car sales, automobile sales.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
It was a big shift.
It was something like, and I stayed there because of some of the guys that I associate with. They didn't think about, well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to make that statement. Okay. I'm not going to make that statement. Okay. But I just thought different.
Yeah. Now, today, Route 66 is arguably the most recognized road in the world. You can talk to people in Europe and Asia, and you say Route 66, and they brighten up, and Route 66. Back in the 40s and the 50s, when you were living near and working on, traveling on Route 66, did you feel that it was special in some way, or was it just another road?
On the highway, you knew to get someplace, because you had to go that way to get someplace.
But you never felt like Route 66 was better than Route 65.
No, sure did.
Okay.
But it was mentioned more than in other highways.
Yeah.
Because see, I told you they made a song
Yeah.
about Route 66. Get your kicks on Route 66.
66.
Yeah.
But did you feel like it was a special road?
It was something that you would remember, for one thing. Because that highway, you did remember that highway. Because that's the way it was going. You know, you had to get out of Springfield going that way. Because Springfield, they said, set off the map. You know, that gives Springfield a name there. Because I was out in L.A. one time. Was it L.A.? They said, that little old place set off so-and-so, so-and-so. And I told her, I said, you don't know nothing about the place. I said, that place is my home. It's much better than here.
Yeah. So you visited L.A. once or more?
Oh, several different times. That's where my dad folks settled at.
Oh.
In California, yeah.
Right in L.A. or?
L.A. and San Francisco and
all
that, yeah.
So you traveled out there, or did you take the train or drive or?
Flew. Yeah.
Okay.
I used to fly from here to Tulsa too.
Oh.
Because my nephew, you know, we kind of grew up together. But I was 10 years older than him, just about. Wasn't quite 10 years old, but we went out. He told me when some fair was going to be there and who was going to be there, and then I would leave work at 2:00 and catch a flight by 3, and go there, and then I had to be back at work at 2, and I leave there, and I was back home at time to go to work. Yeah, and it was just $60 round trip. Good time. Good time. You know that good time?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it really was.
Well, is there anything else you want to share with us?
No, I just wanted you to ask those questions.
All right.
I just wanted to get to what you was trying to find. Not about myself. I can tell you.
Well, we're just trying to capture memories and thoughts about
Yeah.
life along Route 66.
Yeah, I could talk all day about myself. Some people tell me all the time, say, I'm going to get with you. I want to write a book. I'm going to get with you. Because I know a lot about... Well, I could talk, and people think I'd be bragging. But I myself grew up as, like, I had to know people that was rich. That's the type of people I had to talk to. And whenever I got a chance to talk to people that was rich. And I told my kids that. I discovered what the world is and how you had to struggle to get there because of the color of your skin. But you could make it, but it's harder for you to make it than it was for you.
So did you see it, interacting with these rich people, did you see that as an opportunity to learn?
To learn. I learned from them. That's what I've seen. That's why I was, even though growing up, that's why I was, I don't want to say things to be bragging or anything like that. But that's where I've seen the future. Then I had to learn my peers and who was around me and who I worked around. I had to learn how they thought and how they would see things. That was me. And it, like I said, I don't want to be sitting somewhere bragging, but it paid off for me.
So working at the Kentwood Arms kind of gave you two versions of the world, really.
It gave me both life on both sides.
Yeah.
It gave me life on, because I tell a lot of people about working at White. I told them, I said, you don't know nothing about me. I said, I know you because I live with you. I said, I know you before you get up. But I said, you don't know nothing about me. But that's just the way it was. It was, and the ones that I made friends with, the white kids that I made friends with, we was really true friends. It was really true. And I carried that, and people in the past, a lot of things are going away now. A lot of people is going away, but we really was It really did hit it off. And that's, when I don't know, I couldn't get people, Micah and look at that. They thought sometime I was snooty, but I wasn't, because I had real black guys that I grew up with, but I didn't do the same work that they did. I wouldn't stoop for some of the work that they did. But that was just me. And I think most of what I learned from, learned that from Wright County in Hartville. I think that's where I learned that from. After the 6th grade, coming from there to here, and like I told you, everything was nothing segregated but school, and then the government had that, that. But the other things wasn't nothing. We wasn't segregated. A lot of the little businesses was there. We did everything together.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I come from.
Small town.
I guess where I come from a way of living. But I knew, I knew I had news over the world, what the world was. I had news what segregated was. I knew what that was. But when I came here, and I guess it started from where I worked at, and I would try to carry myself higher than my peers, the guys that I work with. That's the way I've seen things,
Did you say that you worked at Lily
Yeah.
Cup for a while? Yeah. Was that before or after the?
That was in the 50s.
In the 50s?
That's when they came here.
Yeah.
That's when I went there when they first opened.
Yeah. What'd you do there?
I worked in. I didn't really work for Lily. I worked for what was that little hotel downtown? What's the name? See, I tell you forget this stuff. You had to go back and search history.
Sansone?
No, it was Emory Davidson. It was a Davidson hotel. What it was, and he had that contracted, that the cafeteria. He had it contracted, and I worked for him.
So it was food service.
Yeah. But I got paid through Lily. Yeah.
So I have to ask you, they just took the cup down.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? That cup was there from day one, wasn't it? We're talking about the big cup outside of the
I
front
know
of the
you talk
building.
about Lily Cup. And they was when they went to Solo,
Yeah.
Yeah. They took it out. I just heard over the news this week. This week, yeah.
It saddened you that.
Yeah. What's that place they're making in there now?
Not sure. I think it's some sort of a short-term storage kind of place.
Yeah, I think
if you're
so,
going to
too.
bring in something, you need some
The
place.
storage is moving from here too. I remember that. I remember in the ground out there before they modernized it. I remember when it was just rock and wet and 100 degrees outside and it's cool down under that
Underground storage.
Yeah, and you went all the way under that highway on that thing too.
Yeah.
I remember.
You've been down in there.
Yeah, I remember the person owning it.
Yeah.
Yeah. His name was Mr. Brown, I think that was his name. I remember when he died. He died at that Kentwood Arms. That was sad.
Just died right in his room?
No, it wasn't in a room. It was at the Kiwanis Club or the Rotary Club, one of the clubs.
No.
They had one on Tuesday and one on Friday.
Had a heart attack or something? Yeah.
And I think I ain't said that though, because I think he would have lived if they'd known what they was doing. Yeah.
Did back to the Kentwood Arms? Did anybody ever live there, almost like an apartment? They stayed there day after day, night after night.
Yeah.
What kind of people?
You know the Fellas Lake?
Yeah.
They lived there.
Oh, really?
You remember that was down on the square? It was Barth clothing store. It was a Barth clothing store right on the corner by the square and Boonville.
Yeah.
They lived there. Them two brothers lived there.
Really?
Yeah, and then it was right downtown, but right over across from was it Gaylord Theater there? What they redid?
Galois?
Yeah, that theater.
Yeah.
They was right across from them. It was Gold Talk Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they lived there also.
So just if you wanted an upscale apartment,
they got it. You know,
you could get it at the
did,
Kentwood
yeah.
Arms.
Yeah, they had some of them was 2 rooms, and yeah.
So what percentage roughly of the the rooms were more apartments than one?
They wasn't apartments. They was
just rooms.
just like I guess you would call a lot of stuff assisted living now.
Yeah, no kitchen.
No kitchen, no.
Yeah.
Because they had to come to the dining room or had it brought up.
Yeah.
Because I served. I remember a lady come from, can't she from Ohio? Her husband was an attorney. Her name was Mrs. Bear, B-E-A-R. I got her Bible now. She gave it to me.
Mm.
She came in and lived until she died.
Mm.
And a lot of people, lived there.
So, like you said, almost an assisted living kind of situation.
Yeah, that's what
you needed a place to live.
They had the money to live there,
You had the money, you needed a place to live. You wanted somebody to do your meals for you.
Yeah, do your meal for you. Yeah, sure do. And they do. You don't have to do nothing because you have a maid come and clean your place and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I got a question for you. So if you're traveling Route 66, there's basically 3 things you need. You need a place to sleep, you need a place to eat, and you need gasoline. Now the Kentwood Arms could give you 2 of those 3, right? Is there never a gas station associated with the Kentwood Arms?
no, not no.
Where would people go for gas if they were staying at the Kentwood Arms? Were there gas stations close enough that?
Let me see. There was a gas station downtown there somewhere. I don't know where it was.
Maybe like where Bud's is now? Or?
I don't know. I need to go back in a director and find some of that stuff. I need to go back to my old directions.
But some of those, those motels and cabin courts out on the fringes of towns would have all 3.
Everything was out on Glenstone.
Yeah, they'd have all 3. They'd have a place to sleep, a place to eat, and a place to gas up.
Everything.
All in one, one-stop shop. But Kentwood Arms and the Colonial were more places to sleep, restaurant.
Yeah, restaurant place.
But no gas.
Yeah, but I know it was a gas station downtown somewhere. I guarantee you I'm gonna seek that. I bet I find out. I bet I find out because it was gas just out of the square and stuff like that. But it was a gas station up there. It was like up there on Kimbrough. Yeah, right off.
Kimbrough in St. Louis.
Yeah.
About where Taylor's is.
Kimbrough, yeah. But Taylor wasn't no gas station there. I know it was there. Kimbrough and on down Kimbrough, yeah, there was a gas station there.
Okay.
There was a gas station on the corner of there somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
There was gas on, but
Maybe like Kimbrough and Walnut, there might have been a gas station there.
Kimbrough and I think it was a gas station on Kimbrough and McDaniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember that license bureau used to be over there, where you get your driver's license.
I got to ask you. So by the time you were working there, John T. Woodruff had sold the Kentwood Arms, so he was no longer involved.
Not John Q.
No, not John Q. John T. Woodruff.
Yeah.
John T. Woodruff. Yes.
Yeah,
had sold it.
That was bad back before my time.
Yeah, I think he was living there for a while.
He probably was.
But not when you were there.
That was back before my time for Mr. Mullen, because Mr. Mullen and them, they had in Coffeyville, Kansas, they had a hotel, and what was the other one? They had 3 with the one here.
Were they all upscale hotels?
I never went to the one was in. Yeah, it was 2, and then he got this one. I don't know when he got it. I never did go back in history when he got it because he had it probably in the 40s, first of the 40s or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you brought that John T back, that sure rang your bell when you said that. I'm gonna try to find John where I can.
He died in 1949,
Mm-hmm.
and he had heart problems, and so he spent the last 6 years of his life. He had a resort over near Siloam Springs, Missouri, called Pine Brook Inn.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was in Springfield much after about 44.
Yeah, but I remember that name when you brought it up.
Yeah, he was the guy who built it.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I tell you, you hear me talk a lot about the Molas. Tom dead, his son's dead now too.
Mm.
That man was I would have patronized after him, so help you. The way he ran a business. He had a business head that wouldn't wait. Sure did.
He was good to work for.
Oh, yes. He was really
sharp.
It's good to work for.
Yeah.
He's good to work for. He never got on me. I'd never been scolded by him. I never. Because I knew what I was doing. Because when I was getting, I can remember so well when I had an order going to a motel upstairs. Then I would put this up there, and I'd get that tray, and I'll set something there and sit there. And he'd be standing up there because what the chef in over in the kitchen, because all this, his kitchen was stainless steel. And he would be standing there, and I would be standing opposite him getting my order filled. When they put it up there, I put some over there, and he'd reach and get it and put it like they're going to set the tray down and eat off of it. When he do that, I'd pick it up and put it back where it was. he said, "Go, you stubborn devil." I can remember that one night, because I told him I had to do that way where I could balance my tray.
Yeah.
Because I had to balance, see.
Right.
Because someplace I couldn't set it that way when it was heavy on that end, end.
You got to get the drinks.
I had to balance the tray for it to be on it even. So
yeah.
And I used to mark him, and I used to scare them waitress to death when they'd done something in the business. I used to come on because he speak from his nose. I used to come in and say, I used to do that, and they jump.
So you had an imitation of him.
I did.
Yeah.
I really did. Yeah. I can remember right this day when we had that tornado come through here. Because that phone used to be right there. And the phone rang. It was him calling. Well, he didn't have a hotel then. He was living in that place out there. He was calling to see if I was all right. Mm. And I said, yeah. He said, you need to be. He said, you need to be going to church. I said, that's where I'm getting ready to go. Now, what he did. He always did that.
How many people worked at the Kentwood Arms?
God. It was...
Roughly.
It was a lot. Let's see. I guess we had 20, 30, 25 or more work from the food department in the dining room. That, and then they had, I don't know, they had about 8 or 10 people working around that kitchen or more. Maybe 12 or 15 ran that kitchen. And then they had people in the office up there. And then in every department they had people in the department, especially in the cocktail lounge. They had exactly 3 or 4 people there in the cocktail lounge and stuff like that. And they had a yard people and all that.
Grounds.
Yeah. So it was.
And then the maids.
The maids. The maids. The maids. Yeah, I remember them. There's quite a few people there.
Yeah.
And the Bellmans,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few people there. And more of them, they lived in there. They had an apartment in there.
Really? They lived right on premises?
They had 2 to 3 rooms.
Yeah.
And then right up, because when you go in the hotel, there's an upstairs that way and upstairs that way before you got to the desk.
Mm-hmm.
And then Motors and them live on that end. And then the first apartment, Mr. and Ms. Fellas lived there. Mm. Yeah, I remember when he died.
So you're right on Route 66, and the airport was on Division Street there, right? And
No, that was out Colonial Street, going out west.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was.
That was a thing. I don't know if it was there before my time, but that was a private airport there.
Oh,
People
that was private
owned-
by the time. Yeah.
Only planes there, because I know a guy
Okay.
owned this plane.
Commercial service was out where the current airport
Yeah,
is now.
right, yeah. I straight out cut. You
Yeah.
run right into it. You go across the bypass and run right into.
Yeah.
Run out there right into that.
Did you ever? So there was also passenger rail service.
Yeah, and that was down there on Main.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to go down there to pick up somebody coming in on the train, or
That's
who
what
did
we
that?
when we left Missouri. That's where we went
Hmm.
on the train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we rode that train because we sold out, and then we sold out, and then hardly because that's when I had to go back down there. My sister-in-law, my brother was married to my brother, and my brother went to Tulsa seeking for work. So I don't know, he didn't get a job. That's when I had to quit and go back
Mm-hmm.
to them to help out with those kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we sold everything, and then we come here and got the train and went
Took the train
to
to Tulsa.
Yeah. And I knew that I wasn't gonna like that.
You never liked Tulsa?
Never did.
Hmm.
Never did. It was sort of like they said Arkansas. It was backwards. People was backwards. So that's the way it was to me. That's
I thought it was a hick town.
Yeah, that's the way I seen. That's where I seen it. But I knew I wasn't gonna like it.
Yeah.
I didn't. So I didn't have money either. So I just, where I made the money to get back here, I caught the truck with a bunch of Mexican people going to pick beans. We picked beans.
Where'd you pick beans? Green beans?
Somewhere out there.
Green beans?
Yeah.
Yeah, for a cannery?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was farm. Where I guess they sold them
Yeah.
to people like that. But that's what we done. Pick beans. That's what I did. Pick beans. I got enough money to come back.
And it was mainly Mexicans who were doing the work? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was full of Mexicans. I didn't see nobody but me black. I didn't see no black people.
Did they ever talk about, they travel up and down 66 or
No.
stories that you heard? Or
Yeah, most Mexicans didn't speak English anyway.
yeah.
Most of them didn't speak English. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was. But I got enough money to get back here. Didn't have much left when I got here. Sure didn't. Didn't have money to buy food. But when I came on a Saturday, then but you know what? I went through all that. I went through hunger and everything else. I did. I went through that because it wasn't, the kids here wasn't like the way I was brought up as a kid. My mom, I can remember, like I tell you, I can remember when I was 4 years old, or 3. She said, don't ever bring anyone home with if you ain't got enough food to give them. Don't ever go and eat when you get here. You ain't got enough food to offer them. She taught that. But I know kids, I remember they said, come on home with them. We'd leave the party and run up in there, get to the front room and say, have a seat. And they'll go back and eat.
Mm-hmm.
But if they'd offered to me, I said, no, thank you. Because that's what Mom taught too.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been hungry and told them, no, I'm not hungry, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
People had a tough time, I guess, in those days, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way I was taught. You don't never forget.
What you learn when you're 3 and 4.
Oh, yeah, but you don't, it sticks with you for some reason.
Yeah.
You don't know why, but it sticks with you because I believe everything my mom said. And it was. Most time what she said was true.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, wonder how she knew all that. I just wonder how she knew all that. But I guess she's a smart lady.
Well, Joe, thanks very much.
Thank you.